howdy, Kate. I'm just roughing out the big news story.
What news story?
Yesterday, Steve and Betty Joe's airplane trip from Springdale.
When did you hear about that?
Uncle Joe was in earlier.
Oh, he does get around. You know, he can beat a rumor down the valley.
Hey, listen to this, Kate. A frail, storm-tossed craft, bolted by lightning, rocked by thunder, swept willy-nilly by the perverse elements, fought against insurmountable odds.
Hold it. Where did you get such talk?
I've been saving it, Kate. It come out of a review of an old Buddy Rogers movie.
Well, you better keep saving it. They might rerun the movie.
This was going to be my headline story.
Well, you can still have your story. Just say, Steve Elliott and Betty Joe Bradley, on their way back from Springdale, got caught in an electric storm. But they landed safely at the Shady Rest, and I need half a dozen cans of tuna.
The way you put it, Kate, you make half a dozen cans of tuna sound more exciting than the story.
Good morning, Mrs. Bradley.
Hi, Steve.
Could I have a talk with you?
Well, of course. What is it?
Well, I've got a problem.
Oh?
What would you say if I told you I was in love with your daughter?
Well, I don't know, Steve. I guess I wouldn't be too surprised. After all, you and Billy Joe have been going steady for some time, and it's not Billy Joe.
No, it isn't.
Bobby Joe? I'm running out of daughters.
It's Betty Joe.
That's the one that's left, all right. Are you sure?
Oh, am I sure? You see, well, something happened last night.
I know.
You do?
Yes, Betty Joe told me. But I'd like to hear your version. How did it happen?
Well, I don't really know myself. I guess it'd been building up for a long time, and I didn't know it. All I know is when we were in that storm, all I could think of was what a fool I was to get Betty Joe into such a spot, and what a terrific girl she was to come through the way she did. And then, when we landed, I sort of kissed her, and boom! It was like every light in the whole world flashed on.
You sure it wasn't the excitement of the moment?
Believe me, Mrs. Bradley, I tried to think that. I went to bed last night telling myself I'd wake up feeling differently. And here I am, about as hung up on a girl as a guy can be.
Yeah, it does pose a problem, you know.
I know. Billy Joe. I'd do almost anything to keep her from being hurt. Please believe that.
Oh, I believe you. But that's where you and I are different.
Pardon?
Well, you said you would do almost anything. I would do anything to keep my daughters from getting hurt. Steve, do you know anything about country customs?
What do you mean?
Well, we're kind of old-fashioned around here, and we have traditions. And one of the traditions is that the oldest daughters are the first to leave the nest.
Leave the net? Well, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead.
Well, maybe not, but it is something to consider. You see, if the young girl gets her man first, it's kind of a slap in the face to the older girls. Matter of fact, it almost pushes them into the category of being old maids.
Those two? Old maids? Huh. I can't buy that.
Well, maybe I am painting too drastic a picture, but you do see the predicament I'm in.
Yeah. Looks like somebody's gonna end up being hurt no matter what.
Exactly. And, Steve, I wish I were wise enough to settle this thing right off, but I'm not, so I'm gonna have to have a little time to think of something. In other words, would you hold off declaring yourself? Think you could do that?
Sure I could. And Mrs. Bradley, you know I didn't set out to cause anything like this, don't you? It just happened.
I know.
Oh, boy. Hey, Kate, I got something. Listen.
What is it?
Well, if my calculations are correct, I'm tracking a moon satellite. Yeah, that's what it is, all right. Hey, this is a powerful thing.
Yeah, it sure is. Have you tried tracking the porch?
Huh? What do you mean? Boy, the roadblocks they throw in front of us scientists. You just don't know my problem.
I'll trade you even.
Kate, something bothering you? What is it? Maybe I can help you out.
No, I don't. Wait a minute. Maybe you can. After all, it is a family problem.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's about Steve and Betty Joe. They're serious.
Serious about what?
They're in love.
No kidding. How about that?
It doesn't disturb you?
No, why should it? I think it's terrific.
You do?
Yeah, think what it'll do for the dynasty.
What?
Steve's a great pilot, and Betty Jo's a terrific mechanic. You couldn't get a better combination for the crop dusting business.
Matches like this are made only in the grease pit.
Hey, this is going to work out great. Okay?
I'm fine, Uncle Joe.
I don't.
This is the greatest thing since thermos bottles. Speaking of thermos bottles, there's something that's always puzzled me. They keep things cold, and they keep things hot. How do they know when to do which?
It's something to think about. Why don't you lie down in the porch swing and give it some thought?
Way ahead of you, Kate. I was just heading that way.